Hello, welcome back to the Holistic Inner Balance podcast. I'm Hadley.
And I'm Dr. Nicole.
Welcome back. We are so excited. We are going to give you a little series of podcast episodes about how to optimize your energy and really boost your energy in the short and long term for each dosha. So, for your unique mind body constitution. And I am really, really excited. I've been thinking about this a lot because a lot of times in our culture, we think of, okay, I have low energy. What do I need to do for that? But with the different doshas, we can have a much better view, a much better picture of like actually what is needed for if you have low energy with a lot of Vata in your constitution or with a Vata imbalance is going to be totally different from what you need if you have low energy and you have more Kapha going on or more Pitta going on. You need completely different things. So there is no one size fits all for like, oh, you're feeling low energy, do this. I mean, maybe drink coffee, but but that's going to potentially deplete your energy further, depending on your dosha too. So stay tuned for which doshas are depleted by coffee and which dosha, there's one of them that actually can benefit from coffee. So
Oh,
stay tuned.
please let it be Vata. I'm so happy to be here. So you might hear it clinking in the background. I like to call myself out in these conversations. And so Hadley, you're talking about coffee. That's my favorite way to boost energy.
Right.
And I have this like pink coffee cup that I have been nursing since 9 a.m. It's like 3:30 now. And I'm excited about this conversation. I feel like we could all benefit from more energy, but I don't know about you, but I find that stimulants don't all hit the same way. So like some things that are energizing can make me feel wired and tired. Some
Exactly.
just stimulate my body and my body's like vibrating and my heart is
Woo!
palpitating. My brain is like sluggish and my eyelids are halfway shut. And so I'm like, well, that's the opposite of what I want. And so I
Mhm.
love that we have an opportunity to get more specific. And it always goes back. I love to bring this back to the philosophy. I feel like what makes our conversations really unique from anything else you're going to hear out there is that we perceive symptoms, whether it's like heart palpitations or gas and bloating or headaches or anxiety or ADHD, we perceive those symptoms as indicators from your body about what needs healing and how. That fits in so well with the philosophy of Ayurveda, which way precedes any of us. It's thousands and thousands of years old. And so we're just catching up with our modern understanding of what, our predecessors knew long times
Yeah.
ago. So as I sit here and sip my coffee, let's learn about, you want to start with Vata today?
Yes, let's do it. Yeah. So it's interesting. So the type of Vata, like low energy feeling, it's a feeling of depletion. So this is the kind of like, it's like fatigue. It's not lethargy. It's not like feeling heavy and dull and that kind of thing. That's another dosha. We'll get into that later. It's not even necessarily, there can be an element of this, there can be an element of burnout. That's another dosha though. So there's going to be more pitta involved in that one. We'll get into that later. But it's like a feeling of it, like an empty, hollow feeling of low energy. So it might come after a bout of like you just doing so much. Like you're like all over the place, and not in the sense of like high ambition, like, that kind of thing. That's more like burnout. That's like pitta, but it might just be like you did a bunch of stuff today and you're looking back at the day and you're like, what did I even do today? Um, and it might be that you like don't have any routine, things just feel all over the place. That can create that depletion. Same with, if you're not if you're not eating nourishing, nurturing foods, that can also cause depletion. A lot of the trendy health fads are like doing like a juice cleanse or doing, or, everyone thinks that salad is healthy. And salad is healthy for some people at some times. Like there's no, this is healthy and this is not healthy. There's differences between what's going on in your body, in the environment around you, what your imbalances are, what your constitution is, all of that stuff. So sometimes we will eat this like really low fat kind of diet, lots of salads, lots of juices, lots of smoothies, lots of people will be like raw vegan or even just vegan, and that can cause depletion of energy. And that is a Vata imbalance. So if you're feeling like, oh my gosh, I just feel like I need someone to come and like pick me up and hold me, that's kind of the Vata depletion. Does that make sense? That kind of difference between the types of low energy?
I'm making a list, like a checklist. And so it like a Vata fatigue, and I'm thinking about the different ways like chronic fatigue could show up.
Vata, totally. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
so it's like I feel depleted, I feel hollow, I feel empty, I feel like I'm just like falling apart. Like
Yes.
I'm wondering if the word weak would
Yes.
resonate with Vata.
Absolutely.
So
Yes. Yeah.
because we talk about that nuance in integrative medicine is like, is it heavy or is it weak? Is it, like the different sensations? So weakness. And so those
Yeah.
are all Vata. And then, of course, we can confirm by looking at the other bodily systems for other symptoms.
Right.
But you were describing, again, so Vata. So you may have a Vata type of fatigue if you're depleted, fatigued, hollow, empty. You feel like you're just kind of falling apart. You want someone to like gather you and like lift you up. And then that
Mhm.
kind of weakness.
Totally. And you might have some like spurts of energy where you're like just a tornado and then feel this like, oh my God, what has happened to my body? And there can be like much more intense versions of this, and there can be small versions of this. Like sometimes if I have, worked out a bunch and not eaten enough food, I can feel this way, even though I don't have that much Vata in my constitution. Anyone can feel any of these things. But there are different things that we need in order to replenish our energy levels for the different doshas.
So let's say that you're in a Vata state of depletion. What
Yeah.
are the solutions?
Okay. I kind of have outlined three different things. So the first thing that your body needs is like rest and nervous system regulation. I mean, all of the doshas can benefit from nervous system regulation, but really like grounding is the thing for Vata. You might be like, well, I'm already grounded because I like am so depleted that I can't do anything. But there are specific practices that you can do. And we have a ton of episodes about like nervous system regulation. So you can go back and listen to those. We have specific practices in there as well. For Vata, I really, really emphasize body-based nervous system practices because you need that grounding so much. Because Vata tends to be like the air and ether elements are what, are the elements of Vata. And so Vata tends to be like kind of up in the ethers, and in that feeling of weakness, you just need that more of that grounding. So nervous system regulation practices, sometimes people don't think of that as being energizing because they're like, oh, well, I need to like do a high intensity interval training thing and like, get my blood pumping and then I'll be energized. But if you have this Vata depletion, doing a nervous system practice, you could even do yoga nidra, where you like lie on the ground and do, I mean, it has you kind of doing some bilateral stimulation, all of that great stuff. Uh, afterwards you might feel totally rejuvenated and refreshed and like, oh my gosh, that's exactly what I needed if you have that Vata depletion. So that's the first thing, is like rest and regulation, essentially.
I want to add to that is I had a transcendental meditation teacher who taught about the research into transcendental meditation and how a 20-minute meditation can be more restful than several hours of sleep for the nervous system.
Yeah, totally. Same with yoga nidra. Yoga nidra means yogic sleep. And for someone who has like a mind that tends to like go all over the place, yoga nidra is really helpful because it has you like do some things with your mind until you get into like a more regulated state. So like for me, like transcendental meditation was really hard for me because I had to just focus on the mantra over and over again. And so yoga nidra was really helpful to just be like, okay, now do this with your mind and now do this. And then it like comes into the calm rather than starting with the calm, if that makes sense. Because we gotta also go with the dosha. We gotta like work with the dosha. So if your mind is going all over the place, going right to something that is like super like grounded and calm and stuff, it might not be as accessible. So we want to do something that's going to help you get there, if that makes sense.
Brilliant. So you started us with habits or behaviors that we can do, rest and nervous system regulation. You gave us some good strategies. You said grounding, earthing, yoga nidra, meditation. I wrote a note here for myself of lying on your back with your legs up in the air.
Yeah, legs up the wall. Yeah. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
great. I mean, I've said this before, but my favorite thing for I do this every morning. Like I do a meditation, lying down on my foam roller with the foam roller along my spine. So a lot of times people put it the other way, like it's like perpendicular to your spine, but this is like your spine is along the foam roller, and it like opens, it's very gently opens up your body, which in turn regulates your nervous system. If you're in like a contracted state, it like very gently opens it up. So not too forcefully, but it opens it up so that you can feel more like you're in a state of regulation. I love it.
That's so good.
Yeah.
A couple more hacks for us. I'd love. You talked about
Yes.
caffeine in the beginning, and I'm really banking on this being the answer.
Okay, so unfortunately, it's not Vata.
Darn it.
I'm sure you could have guessed that.
You guys are going to have to listen to the next episodes then to figure out which
Right.
it is.
Totally, yes. So for me, if I'm feeling this way, if I haven't had enough sleep, that's going to cause like Vata depletion. If I haven't had enough sleep and, you know, haven't been nourishing myself with like really like actually, people think of nourishing as salads too, but like salads are not nourishing. They are cleansing. But they're not nourishing. Nourishing are like oily, like soups and root vegetables and things like that. So yeah. um, if I drink coffee during that, I will just be wired and tired. I will not be any more awake. I will simply be like anxious, anxious and tired. So it is not helpful for this kind of Vata depletion and fatigue. The other thing about coffee that they say in Ayurveda is like it's borrowing energy from the next day. So it's gonna, in the long term, it's gonna make you feel even more and more depleted.
Oh, I'm writing that down.
Yeah.
Borrowing
Yeah, that's a
energy
good
from
one.
tomorrow. Wow, that's really good. So
Mhm.
what can I take or eat?
Yes. Okay, so with this Vata depletion, you want to be eating actually like grounding foods. So things like bone broth, things like root veggies. I love a grain bowl. I mean, even like meats, as long as they're like high quality, organic, grass fed, all of that good stuff. Though I would say slow cooked as well. Slow cooked meats are going to be really, really nourishing. Like that's got so many vitamins and minerals that is nourishing. It is building mass essentially. That's what kind of like nourishing is in Ayurveda, versus like cleansing, detoxing, that kind of thing, which is more of the like salads and stuff like that, which is really beneficial for other doshas at other times. So we want to bring in those really grounding things. Now, if you are like, F you, I'm not giving you my coffee, like I'm turning this podcast off. I totally get it. Some things that you can do, especially if you're, especially if you're drinking like a ton of coffee. I don't want you to just like go cold turkey, stop drinking coffee, and then like have all of the, headaches and the different things that can happen. So what I would do, this is what I always do actually with coffee. I never drink it just plain, just black. I always add some fat to it. So for me, I usually use coconut oil, or not coconut oil, coconut cream or coconut milk, like canned coconut milk. Because that has like if you're just going to use like coconut milk from, from a carton or whatever, that doesn't have that much fat in it. But coconut cream, coconut milk that from a can, I will add some of that. And that also can be helpful for Pitta. I'll talk about why that is too. You could also add like, you've heard of like bulletproof coffee. That is helpful because it doesn't create that like that spike and crash that will make you feel more depleted. It will be more of a slow release. And also eat food before you drink the coffee, please. If you have this Vata depletion, especially, like, please eat food first. And drink water before your coffee too. Like, please. At least 8 ounces. I drink like 20 ounces of water or sometimes more than that, but before I drink coffee. If I'm going to drink coffee, it depends on the day for me. So there you go.
I'm thinking about cordyceps, and I feel like cordyceps has been studied to be really good at immunomodulating. Like it's a balancer. So it doesn't stimulate the immune system or suppress the immune system. It modulates the immune system. And I've seen some research into how it could be also that way for our doshas. What is your take?
Yeah, totally. I think a lot of the adaptogenic mushrooms are going to be really helpful for Vata. So, having like what are they called? Like Four Sigmatic, or there's a really great brand called Rasa. And it's a like coffee alternative. One of their coffee alternatives has a little bit of coffee in it for when you're like weaning down. But they have like a blend of adaptogens in there. So adaptogens are really helpful they help your body adapt.
Exactly. Yes.
So they can be really helpful, especially for that Vata depletion, but really for a lot of different things with the doshas too. Yeah.
I'm thinking like cordyceps, lion's mane.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about amala, which is tridoshic, right? So it balances all three. And so
Amala?
maybe, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
my teacher called it amala, but I also didn't know how to say Ayurveda either when I met you. So always default to what Had
I
says.
could very, very well be saying it wrong. I don't know. I maybe
Trifala.
have only read it. I don't know.
Yeah. So AMLA.
Okay. Yeah, Amla.
And
Yes.
then
And that's an Ayurvedic herb. Yeah.
it's it's from India.
I
And
mean,
so then
all
that
herbs are Ayurvedic. To be clear, all herbs are Ayurvedic. That one is specifically from India. A lot of times people think that like only the herbs from India are
yeah.
Ayurvedic, but all
Yeah.
of them are.
So maybe a little bit of that at nighttime. And so I have a dear friend, his name is Pranav Lad, and
Yeah.
he taught me a lot before I met Hadley, who taught me 90% of what I know. I learned from
Well,
Hadley
his
about,
dad wrote the textbooks that I learned from with
yeah,
Ayurveda. So
yeah. He's such a kind, wonderful, brilliant person. And he taught me about how the best way to get ama, amla or amala is, or triphala is a powder.
yeah.
And when you really need it and you're out of balance, it will taste bitter. And so it's best to put it in a little bit of water and to drink it, as you could get that immediate biofeedback of, do I need this or not? And then the longer you take it, the better it will taste. It'll start to taste less bitter, more like sawdust, and then you're done. So
Yep.
you could do a little bit of that at night with maybe some ashwagandha, and that can help people relax. And it also over time will boost energy and vitality. And then in the morning, if you need something a little bit more stimulating, I'm thinking like we were talking about like the mushrooms, like Hadley, you were
Fine.
giving us some
Yeah.
like good ideas on that. And
Thank
then
you.
Panic's ginseng, or Korean ginseng, or otherwise called Asian
Mm,
ginseng, is much more stimulating. And so you would do that in the early part of your day. Maybe
nice.
mix that with like a little bit of like maca or cordyceps at that time if you want. So those are like a couple of like quicker hacks. Like Panics is going to give you a little bit more of a boost in the moment. So instead of having a coffee, do like a cup of Panics tea,
Totally. Yeah.
something like that.
I also make like matcha lattes, which has caffeine, but it's a lower a lower dose. And I also make it with milk because that is more of that nourishing quality. I mean I make it with almond milk. I don't make it with dairy milk, but and it has vanilla in it, which is lovely and also great for Vata. Um oh, I was gonna say something else about herbs. Oh, golden milk is amazing for
Great,
herbs.
great idea, golden milk. And it's so
Yeah.
delicious.
Yeah, it's
Golden milk.
so good. Yeah, I mean, you can find many, many, many golden milk recipes online, and you could put, if you want to make it extra nourishing, like before bed, if you're feeling really super, super, super depleted, like, um, I would add, I would add some ghee. Or if you wake up hungry, I have a client right now who started doing this, and she was like, I've been waking up hungry at like 4 a.m. And we were talking about different things that you can do, and she started doing the golden milk with I think coconut oil. It was either coconut oil or ghee in it. Or she might have made it with canned coconut milk, whatever. All of these things have fat, which is the nourishing grounding thing that you need. And she was like, I have not woken up in the middle of the night hungry. I didn't do it like 2 nights when I got home from a trip. And I was like, why am I sleeping so poorly? And then she was like, oh, it's because I haven't been doing I haven't been doing the golden milk thing. So like that can be really, really, really beneficial as well.
This has been so amazing. I took like half a page of notes, Hadley. This is great.
I love
So
it.
in this conversation, we talked about how to boost your energy in the short term and in the long term. And so you talked about getting to the root of the imbalanced dosha, because you don't want to just stimulate the body. And so you talked
Right.
about some habits, some nutritional changes, and then we
Totally.
threw in some supplements. I love that you mentioned the adaptogens. Some adaptogens take time and the
Yeah.
benefits will kick in after 6 weeks or so. Some are a little bit more stimulating and faster, like Panics. And so if you guys have any other thoughts or hacks or questions or ideas, let us know in the comments.
Totally. And the cool thing about like pretty much all of the things that we talked about is they will give you more energy right now. And as you continue to do them, they will build your energy more and more and more too. So like Win, 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 win.
Win, 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 win.
Yes.
So next up, you guys check out the other episodes. We have one about if you're more of a Pitta predominant or Kapha. And so looking forward to learning more with you next time.
Yes.
Yay.
See you guys.
See you later.
Bye.